Hey guys, uh, got this record a while ago. I've listened to it a few times now. This was my birthday album in 1991. It came out September 24th, 1991. A few short days before my birthday. I remember picking it up. They'd kind of blown up with the rest of the grunge scene that was blowing up around the time. I was into some of that. I was still a big fan of metal, so this was more up my alley, I think, than some of the other stuff. Also a big fan of the album before this, Louder Than Love, with full-on Kevin's mom. I think that is a pretty classic album that people kind of forget about. People tend to, I almost say, maybe in a way, forget about this one sometimes too, in exchange for some of their later stuff. I went to see Soundgarden on the Super Unknown tour. They were going through Winnipeg, and the thing, Nine Inch Nails was the opening act on the tour. And I remember kind of like, I don't know that I wanted to see it. I wasn't really into it. I was a fan of both bands, but I didn't think it was gonna be good, I guess. Maybe at the time I disliked Nine Inch Nails. I don't remember. I mean, I really only kind of like the early Nine Inch Nails stuff. Anyway, Broken's my favorite one. Anyway, something happened. Trent Reznor didn't want to go to Winnipeg, I'm guessing. So for that show, we had a different opener. And I remember it was announced that the Reverend Horton Heat would open. And as soon as I heard that, I was instantly in. What I remember about the show. So this would have been Super Unknown 93, 94-ish, I can't remember. The Reverend Horton Heat was amazing. Amazing. Soundgarden, worst show I ever saw. Sound was awful. Awful. I'm not a big fan of arena shows to begin with, but the Reverend Horton Heat sounded fantastic, and Soundgarden took the stage, and they, it sounded brutal bad. Chris Cornell couldn't hit notes. It was really bad. And I've talked to some friends of mine who saw them in Detroit, and said that they were amazing. So maybe it was an off night. So Winnipeg, maybe they just weren't so stoked to be there. Anyway, I probably would have preferred to see them on this tour, maybe. This record is just so solid. For some reason, and I don't know why, but in my head, this record and Aima, however you say that, from Tool, always seemed similar to me somehow. Both kind of, in a weird, straightforward, metal-y records. But when you pay attention closer, they are not. Soundgarden uses some alternate tunings on this, some alternate tunings that aren't strange in the metal scene, like drop Bs and things like that, but they also, on one song, can't remember which one, might have been Drawing Flies, or I think it's on the side 3 of this anyway, tuned every string to an E. I've never tried that. I have played in tunings where every string is a D except for the A string, which stays an A string. and tunings like that. I don't know if I've ever tried all E's. I know I've tried all of something a few years back. Don't remember if I liked it or not. So this record, man, like, this is the 25th anniversary edition. Just pull up the little info thingy on here. Anyway, so wait, let me go back. So 91, fallish 91, this record comes out. I don't know how old I was in 91. Grade 9 or 10, I suspect. I was born in 76. Somebody do the math. I don't know what happens over the winter. Maybe it's just the push. This record was on Geffen? Who was this on? Universal. So I don't know, maybe there was just the winter push. And then in 92, they go on a tour with Guns N' Roses, who are out supporting the Use Your Illusions. Also albums that I loved. I only have Appetite. Kind of think that's enough, really. Who else did they go on tour? They went out with Guns N' Roses. They get back from Guns N' Roses. They go on tour with Skid Row, who was out in support of their amazing follow-up record, Slave to the Grind, which, if the only Skid Row you know is 18 in Life and I Remember You, is that the name of that song? You should check out Slave to the Grind. The guitars are much denser. It's a much heavier album for the most part. It's a fantastic record. And then after Skid Row, I believe directly after Skid Row, they go out with Faith No More. And what a show that would have been. Faith No More and Soundgarden on the same bill. I feel like there was years in between. The big first Mike Patton Faith No More record, and then the next Faith No More record. So I'm thinking that they would have been out on that first Mike Patton Faith No More record, which would have been amazing. One that I don't actually have on vinyl because they did re-release pressings of it, but all of the ones that I've seen don't have War Pigs on it, and gotta have War Pigs. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the rest of the album's great without their Black Sabbath cover, but I can hold off until I find one that has War Pigs on it. Unless that never happened on vinyl. Maybe that was just, I think I had it on tape when it first came out. I don't have it on CD. So maybe it was just a tape CD thing and vinyl never did that. I'm not sure. But still, would have been an amazing show. I don't know if it was just the two bands or if they had another opening act or not, but Soundgarden off of Badmotorfinger and Faith No More on the first Mike Patton tour would have been, like, ridiculous. It would have been right up there with that Beast Boys Rage Against the Machine tour. That would have been, like, mind-blowing. I didn't get to see it because as they were approaching Detroit, one of the guys, I think one of the Beast Boys got injured and they had to, like, cancel some shows. So that never happened. Anyway, and then they at some point they played Lollapalooza in '92 with frickin' everybody. So yeah, this is the 25th anniversary edition. These records are, like, thick. I was trying to look up, but I can't see anywhere that it says what the heck these records are. Because I have many 180 gram records, but these things are like I mean, you'll never be able to see that, but they're ridiculous. They're like this. They're like the size of 78s. So I mean, I don't know if they're thicker than 180 grams, but it sure seems like they are. Pretty classic cover. Looks great. This guy on the front is like, I don't want to damage it, but see if we can. There's like a faux cover, and underneath is still the normal like goldish colored cover, and over top there's this silver one that's got oh yeah, it does work there. Okay, there you go. See how it does that? And it's like a mirror. I mean, I can't show you because I'm me. But it's like it's a mirror. It's the hardest. I have tried to post it on Instagram a bunch of times, and I can't take a picture of it because it always is like catching light from somewhere and refracting. It's a nightmare for that. But and honestly, even the pictures and the videos, like, it just doesn't do it justice. Like, it's so much cooler looking in real life. Anyway, I'm super stoked about this record. Again, I've had it for a while. It's the only Soundgarden I have on vinyl. I have this problem where I listen to a lot of different kinds of music, and for a little bit, I'll get into like, I gotta build my hip hop collection up. Gotta build my metal collection up. Everything goes in waves like that for me. I never really have anything where I'm like, I gotta get all of these and I'm not gonna get anything else until I get all of those. I do have ones where I move in, I've been buying the new Beastie Boy reissues in chronological order, and that's been pretty fun because I get to listen to the whole thing in order again, like the progression, and that's been really sweet. Sometimes it's just been like random finds or watching for sales. I'm pretty cheap. And that's the thing. I generally don't buy like anniversary editions or colored vinyl. And not that I don't think it's super cool. When I get it, I think it's super cool. But I listen to my records, so I've never really cared that much. Give me a black vinyl, sounds just as good. There have been a couple moments where I didn't and possibly regretted it. If I can find it. Oh no, it's out of order here. This guy right here. I'm sure most of you know that. It's the latest Childish Gambino record, Awaken My Love. I have a couple more. But the special edition of this was for sale close to me, and like this thing was like glow in the dark. Oh, it looked so rad. And it was like $100, and because he's Donald Glover, it comes with like a bunch of weird things. Like I think it came with like, I'm pretty sure it came with like a cardboard box 3D set or something like that. One of the other ones came with a 72-page script that matches what is going on the record. And I didn't buy it, and instead I bought this one because I was like, man, I just need this record like in my hands right now. And this was like less than $20. And I'm not sure if like anybody else knows was this just a bad pressing? Like I know that everything on this record is different than all the other Gambino records, and it's like there's a lot of 70s throwback sound to it. You know, but I have old Bootsy records and they sound better than this. It sounds I guess you know that remember Undertow by Tool? Anybody got that? And when we first got it, you were just like, this record is like mind-blowingly good. And then they put out another record, and then you're kind of like, kind of sounds like crap, eh? Or for older metalheads, Injustice for All. Like, what the fuck happened on that? Not as bad as Injustice for All. But I'm just kind of wondering if I got a crappy press of it, maybe, because it doesn't sound great. Anyway, that's pretty far away from the Soundgarden record. But boy, oh boy, I tell you what, the Soundgarden record, it sounds freaking fantastic. I also collect CDs, so I'm not a vinyl. Everything sounds better on vinyl snob, because it just doesn't. But there is times where, especially if I can find like older records, like older 60s rock records, I like the mono pressings sound better. There are certain times where things can be brought out on a record better than they can a CD, I think. And again, not always. Sometimes you get the record, you get the CD kills it. And I, again, because of my age, I'm old enough to remember the first time I heard a CD after a lifetime of listening to tapes and records. Like, it was ridiculous. I got my first CD player for Christmas, and my mom bought me Kill 'Em All and Countdown to Extinction by Megadeth were my first two CDs. And they sounded ridiculously good. Of course, I had Kill 'Em All, never sounded that good. Countdown to Extinction sounded great on tape already. It was like the production was so clean, and then on CD was just like, brah. This guy, I mean, this Badmotorfinger sounded great on everything I've ever owned it on. But on record, boy, she lives, man. And the grooves, the dirty sound of those guitars, like listening to an old Sabbath record, it just like the needle loves it. Anyway, that's it, man. Check that out. If you're young and don't know it and you're into dirty guitars, get it. If you're old and you don't like Soundgarden, I don't know what to tell you. There's something wrong with you. Lates.